What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to, for the final time, welcome to TD Place in Ottawa. My name is Everett Delorme. I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Rob St. Clair, and this is the 9x9. Welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in. It has been a very long week here at the Volleyball Nations League in Ottawa. We are... Oh, yeah, there we go.
Ring light.
A little bit of light on us, make us look a little bit better. But, Rob, it's been an extremely long week here at the Volleyball Nations League. We wrap things up today with 3 big matches. First and foremost, and most importantly, I'm in good mood today because Canada finally has its first VNL win, and we can all breathe. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm feeling right now. A couple of the matches that we saw today. Before that, Italy took down Argentina, and then before that, Poland with a really, really good outing by a really good win against France.
Both very significant in terms of the rest of the tournament.
Huge,
we'll talk about them, but we got to talk about Canada first.
Got to.
It wasn't easy. But Canada played very good, clean volleyball. They looked more like themselves. We've heard from a bunch of the players already since the game. Bulgaria gets a lot of credit.
100%.
Because they fought off a match point in the third and got it all the way to 5. And Alex Nikolov is a monster, but the Maple Volleys got it done in the 5th. Ryan Slater with an ace serve. And everybody in this building is so relieved. Relieved is the word that I would use.
Massively relieved.
Yeah.
It was just the past few days. It kind of hurt to watch them play volleyball.
The France match wasn't as physically painful, but Germany and
Italy
were painful.
Especially Italy.
That last night was so bad.
To watch them bounce back the way that they did was absolutely massive. And
it's great to see.
You know, I'm never going to say I doubted this team because obviously I didn't, but it was starting to creep in a little bit. Like I could feel it starting to creep in. And more so, even past the win, is how we won and how we fought and how we look like ourselves. Like Stephen Marr was back to his old self. He had 25 points in total, led the match. He went 22 for 43, only 4 errors, which I think is absolutely massive.
That's big.
Like when they were having success, no errors for Team Canada.
Right.
They had only had 7 hitting errors halfway through the third set, which is absolutely huge for this team. You saw the offense getting spread around. Eventually, a lot of it started going to Steve, but beforehand, you know, you saw Van Berkel getting in there. You saw Howe, you saw Hogue, you saw Sclater. Everyone was contributing today, and it was finally great to see the Maple Volleys back in action.
Yeah, and they looked like themselves. Some of the players, both Slater and Hogue, after the match, told us that they were trusting their instincts more.
Yeah.
They were getting out there and letting who they are as players shine through the most. And in moments when things are fast, because this is a fast game that we play, they were trusting their instinct, trusting their years and years and decades of experience instead of trying to process so many things mentally about the Benjo system. And Benjo, we heard it from Coach Ben Josephson as well. He has admitted that he has given them
A little too much.
Yeah. And that he has been pleasantly surprised with how much they have wanted to bite off of the new stuff. He said, like, yeah, if I give them 10 new things, I expect them to take 5 or 6. They end up taking 12 and, like, really buying in and doing that. And that created for a while this analysis paralysis where there was so much going on in their heads. And today, it wasn't so much about this robotic, fast technical flow chart. It was about giving each guy what they needed to be successful and letting each guy be who he was within some slightly less defined guidelines, and the product on the court was more free-flowing, like visually appealing volleyball, and it's such a step in the right direction.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we did see we talked about it throughout the match, how they were just running it a little bit slower on the pipe.
Only a little. Like half a step slower. Instead of the middle attacker and the pipe attacker being in the air at literally the same time,
yeah.
It's just a half step behind.
Which it just works so well for both Marr and Hogue.
Way better.
You know, they're on it, and when they were trying to run it fast, we saw those miscommunications, even within this game too. So that's also one of the positives for me too, that we did see so many miscommunications, that we did see so many like brain farts from this team, that there was so many like kind of like what is going on, like Mar makes an absolute massive dig and then we can't fire around it in the middle of the court. There was so many of those situations, and we still found the way to get that win. And, you know, good teams win when things aren't going perfectly. Tonight, things didn't go perfectly, but it was enough to get the win.
And Bulgaria, again, gets a lot of credit for
100%.
pushing this because, again, like Brody Hofer came in to serve for match point in set number 3.
Yeah.
And here we were thinking that it was going to be a sweep and everything was going great, and Bulgaria came all the way back. They played good volleyball. That team has a potential. They're definitely not the worst team in VNL.
No.
I don't think Canada is either. But we talked about last night, like there are some bad teams in VNL, and now with one of those other bad teams doing something down south today that was.
Can we add Brazil into one of those bad teams right now?
You know what?
After the past like 48 hours?
I saw this result because I was doing the first game with Claire Hanna. We did Poland and France, and that was number 2 and number 3 in the world. Poland is 2, France was 3. And after Brazil has been the number 1 team in the world, Everett, for 20 years. 20 years.
That's so
that Brazil has been
ridiculous
the
to
number 1
think
team in
about.
the world, and now that the every match matters and it's live updating day by day. The loss to the U.S. last night hurt them. They lost about 10 points.
Huge.
So then Poland was kind of within striking distance until Brazil at home got swept by China. Brazil at home got swept by China. I physically cannot believe that is a sentence that I have just said and that is a true thing. Brazil, from getting swept at home by China, lost 19 world ranking points.
18.93. Wow.
They now trail Poland by 9, and they're still ahead of France by about 23, but Poland is now the new number 1 team in the world. We'll talk about that match in a second. And Canada actually
It hasn't been updated, which
yet.
makes sense. But going back to the Canada match real quick, it's just great to see this team finally clicking together. And we saw those moments of brilliance there. We saw them running it fast. We saw them the running it. It was just it seemed like it clicked on a better level today. You know, it almost feels like this team is a screw. And you've been like turning it, and it's finally caught
the
in.
Teeth grabbed.
The teeth have grabbed, and they're not all the way in yet. They're not like fully, but they've got to hold on to something,
Yep.
and that's a good feeling right now.
And so they've got a lot to still learn about film. They've got so much data now. Benjo is telling us they're really going to get that last 10% from some of the analytics that God knows volleyball world doesn't have access to in terms of proper stat reports. But the teams have proper stat people that really give them great insight, and now they have data with which to really help them improve. So they're going to go to Bulgaria in 2 weeks, and they're going to go to Japan 2 weeks later.
Yep.
And that team will hopefully look that little bit better every time.
Well, one of the things to remember too is that you are going to have the addition of Eric Lepke into this roster.
Yes, you will. He's here. We talked to him.
We did. I did an interview with him, and you know what? Like we talked about it a little bit last night. He's a guy who has played pro. He's played 2 years in Italy now, but has also comes from that Ben Josephson system and only graduated, like 3 years ago. So he is. But even I did talk to him and I brought this up with him. He goes, even for me, there's things that are new that he's already come up with since then, right? So even I have a little bit of learning to do. However, this system is built for Eric Lepke. Not specifically, this isn't what's that guy from One Direction who says that One Direction was made for him, Liam or whatever. Like it's not
a reference.
It's not that clear. I mean, it's topical right now. It's not that clear cut, but the style of player that Lepke is fits perfectly within this system, and he's someone who trusts Ben infinitely, right? Having played for him at Trinity Western. So I think Eric Lepke, Eric Lepke on the surface is a great addition to any team, but given his relationship with Ben Josephson and his relationship with some of the other guys in this team, is I think that's going to be really good. I think one thing we're going to have to look out too on about the trip to Bulgaria is whether or not Jay Blankino is going to be going.
Yep.
So he was actually scheduled to start this game. He was written into the starting lineup. Our notes that we got had him in there, and he actually pulled himself out of the game, telling coach, you know what, I'm not healthy right now. I'm going to be hurting the team. We need to switch it up. So I'm going to be very interested to see if they take Jay. My guess would be no. My guess would be let's let Jay stay home. Let's let him rest up. We're going to need him come the fall. We're going to need him come later on in this event. Let's bring Epp in. I think Walsh set a fantastic match
Agreed.
tonight, and let's also remember he wasn't slated, so like he maybe wasn't in that headspace, right? Like if you're being told you're going to be starting on the bench, you're not preparing for it mentally.
Oh, yeah, it's different.
And he came in, he got some massive blocks. He was our best blocker tonight. Like even in situations that didn't turn out well for us, he was absolutely huge. What is that? 4 blocks for him?
4 blocks and 3 kills.
Yeah, 4 blocks, 3 kills. He was serving strong. He really led this team well tonight. And Derek Epp is someone who's set for the national team before, has played the World Cup, and knows better than anyone Benjo's system. So let's go with Walsh and Epp. Let's let Jay Blanks rest up a little bit, and let's insert him back in, whether it's like the VNL playoffs or later in the summer
Jay
for the World Championships.
Doesn't want to hear that. He's the most competitive player of all time, but the fact that he pulled himself out today
says a lot.
It really does say a lot, and I think that he will understand if he's not taken to Bulgaria, and I think he will understand that the right thing would be done for both him and for the team now. So I'm curious to see about that as well, because Jay definitely not 100%, but Canada, just the fact that you guys have a good taste in your mouths now for the next week after what occasionally was extremely painful to watch volleyball. I am happy for you guys. I'm happy for Team Canada because I really like watching them, and I like the guys, and I love Ben Josephson. So this is good news.
Great news.
Bulgaria 0-4 this week, had some chances. They got 2 points, 2 5-setters, lost them both. Oh my God, Alex Nikolov is the truth.
That dude, he is
Oh
honestly
my
like
God.
I'm excited to see, because you did an interview with him post game. I was away. I was talking to some of the guys, so I didn't hear any of it. So I'm excited to go back and listen to that, because this dude at 18 years old, the poise that he has, the touch that he has the ball, the way he moves on the ball, the way that he serve receives big serves from guys like Mar and Hug, and we've seen it all weekend long. We need to add him to one of like. Is it too early to start adding him in that conversation with Mikoletto and with Yant and with Rock Mozic? Because from what I saw today, obviously the output is a little bit different. I think he's maybe a little bit distant fourth from those guys, but I think he's starting to get closer to that group real quick.
There has never been an 18-year-old player.
I mean, Leon
better than this.
Leon
kid.
was real good at 16.
I don't know if he was this good. Wilfredo Leon was playing serious national team tournaments at age 16, but at 18, I don't know if Wilfredo Leon was as polished as Alex Nikolov.
That is what surprises me the most and impresses me the most.
It's unbelievable.
He's physical, 100%. He's physical. And usually you see those guys at the young age where they're physical, but his polish, the way he strikes the ball, the way he moves on the ball, I've said it, it's honestly, like there's so many times tonight where he was making a play, and I'm cheering for Canada, you're cheering for Canada because otherwise I'd hurt you, right? And he just pulled out plays that we couldn't we couldn't help but like look at each other and be like, that was absolutely filthy, because that's what he does. It's crazy.
He had the one where he was on the right side. He brought his feet in all the way to like the dead center of the court, and a crazy out of system ball inside 3 blockers, like straight down to about 8 feet, like cross court. It was.
He's ridiculous.
It's incredible. I've never seen an 18-year-old that's this good. I've never seen it. Leon, carried Cuba to World Championship final. How'd they do in that final?
Yeah, and not choke.
They lost.
You can't say and not choke, Ronnie.
Yeah, they lost.
They lost, right?
And,
Don't give me that. And also, let's go up
and
here.
And he had Robert Landy Simone and Yoandi Leal. Like that team around him was way better than this
Don't tell me
team.
Leal fucking put the team on his back like he was good. Also, Ronnie, let's talk about a moment of silence and respect for Canadian fans who will sleep as the third team on Rusika. Not anymore. Like, we just won. We're going to jump back over you guys.
Are you going to get 3 points for beating Bulgaria in 5?
Ooh,
probably not.
Probably not. Where's Bulgaria on this list? 23.
3,
okay.
You beat them in 5. You're not going to
Ronnie,
jump back over Cuba.
You can't be talking like this. Cuba hasn't done anything recently.
Nothing. Congratulations. You went to a Norsika event and
beat
a bunch of thanks for participating.
You're happy about beating up on Puerto Rico?
Yeah, congratulations.
They had no power for like a year and a half.
Congratulations.
You know, like it's the battle of the inmates.
It's embarrassing. We're not going to talk about Cuba and Canada anymore.
No.
Bulgaria's tournament, disappointing so far. It's unfortunate for them. I do still think there's potential there. I hope for their sake that they don't get relegated out of VNL.
I don't think they will. I think there's way more bigger garbage fires over on the other side.
Yeah, I think there are too.
than Bulgaria. So
Let's go.
I don't think that's going to be much of an issue.
Let's go back to the first match of the day today.
Yes, let's go back to the first match.
This was a big one.
It was a big one.
France versus Poland, and France was up until this match the only undefeated team here, because there's a certain team. There's a certain team, Everett. There's a certain team that went 4-0 down in Brazil with a Mickey Mouse roster, somehow got out of their 4-0. Huge pleasant surprise, only undefeated team in the tournament.
You know what? Given that
France lost to Poland. France's starters lost to a Polish B team in 4. And Irvin Ingapet looked lazy. Bartlomiej Chinyeze got minorly injured. Antoine Brizard ripped 6 aces in the first set and then was invisible afterwards.
Yeah.
And Poland actually outplayed them with a B team.
I mean, I think Karol Buchanan was unbelievable for them.
How good was he?
Dan last night was going off and saying that what's his face, Maciej Mujaj is better than Kurek,
I've ever
and
heard.
then now he's all on Buchanan and like saying, does Buchanan have a chance? It's like, could he start? He's
No.
like, could Buchanan start for Poland at the World Championships? But however, I will say that we don't know how much longer Kurek has in his career, especially playing for Poland. I do think that a Kaczmarek Buchanan pairing would be absolutely deadly for Poland. I think that might be the best
Buchanan would be
opposite
a
pairing.
tremendous serving substitute.
He absolutely would, and plus he gives a different look. He's just a little bit of a bull. Ooh.
That's okay. We're getting lights turned off, but that's why we have a ring light. Everything
Yeah.
still look okay, actually?
Yeah, it's not great, but we're gonna go with
Yeah,
it.
we're going to keep going with it.
But yeah, Buchanan looks absolutely fantastic. Honestly, that's a
and-
huge win for Poland, given they have
big.
no starters here.
Really, really big. So France, Poland, and Italy all beat each other in a triangle, right? So all 3 of them 3-1. Poland beat France, Italy beat Poland, and France beat Italy.
Yes.
So that very interesting triangle going on there. There's a similar triangle actually between Serbia, Germany,
And Argentina?
kind of. Argentina ended up 1-3, but what my point is that in the middle there's actually 2 kind of sections of this tournament that are pretty competitive.
Yeah.
There's those good, like, capable of winning the tournament level European teams that are all right there in the mix. Then there's 1 tier lower than that are all right in the same mix of trying to make the playoffs.
Mhm.
This has been a really competitive tournament, and Poland beating this Polish B team, the level of class they showed, level of touch they showed, which that we saw from them in 3 out of the 4 matches this week.
Mhm.
Every match except the Italy loss, which was not good.
No.
That level of polish for Nikola Grbić's team was very, very impressive.
100%.
Really, really was. And I do think that France didn't have their best stuff, other than Jean Patry, who was great. Irvin Ingapeth looked hungover out there.
He did look
Actually.
hungover, and I mean, we don't know about them going out last night.
We
but
sure know about them going out
We,
2 nights
we
ago.
heard some stories about Friday, so maybe there's that. But yeah, but also let's remember here that Kevin Tilley got injured on one of the first points of the first game.
4 to
right?
6 weeks is what we heard from him today.
Yeah.
So there is a good chance he plays World Championships. I thought that with a calf tear, which is what I believe it is, he might be out for the summer.
Yeah,
So
but
4 to 6 weeks is better, but without him, without Trevor Kleveno, without
But they
Janek
have
Velikov.
Kleveno.
Yeah, but not here.
Yeah, but they're going to be. But anyways, but going back to what I brought it up, their outsides are tired.
Yeah,
right?
they are.
Like
They are.
Luati is tired, Engapeth is tired, right, and hungover. But like those guys are tired, whereas like Poland, they had the chance. Like they ran their bench yesterday, right? But Lipinski was in there.
Yeah.
Right, like Maciej Mujaj was in there. It wasn't Buchanan. So Kozub was in there. Like none of those guys who played today for Poland played yesterday.
Master class in roster management from Nikola Grbić.
100%.
Master
But I
class.
mean, you literally have the entire toolbox. It's like you're walking into your grandpa's wood shop, and he has all the tools in the world
Yeah.
because he's been accumulating them for years and
And
years.
then when
that's
they
Poland.
and then when they go 2 weeks from now, they basically have a $5,000 gift card to Home Depot with the players that they're going to be able to bring in.
5,000, like 500,000.
The
You're
players-
bringing in Slivka, Semeniuk, Kaczmarek, Janusz,
Zatorsky.
Zatorsky, Kurek,
Bieniek.
Bieniek. Like the list goes
on.
on and on when Poland is really
Bednarz,
upgrading.
yeah,
but
it's unbelievable.
I did really like what I saw from Tomasz Fornal.
Yeah.
all week.
Much,
and you
much
could
better tonight. That one match against Italy, he was truly terrible.
And-
Really good tonight.
So you could tell that I actually talked to Gerbich about it in our interview that he was talking specifically to Fornal about managing his emotions around serving. He missed those 8 serves against Italy, and they were kind of joking about it. He got an ace in the fourth there, and they kind of had a laugh about it. But I think part of the reason why he's talking so much to Fornal because he knows that Fornal might become a guy for them later down, right? Maybe he's starting to look at everyone around, but like Fornal, he's the guy that I can see being on this squad come to the playoffs. I can see him being a squad and being potentially a difference maker for us because like think about it, if you've got Fornal on the bench that you can go to for Team Poland, like he's so smooth. He's one of the smoothest volleyball players I've ever seen.
I got to give Bartosz Kvolek a ton of credit for playing great today too. It didn't even start the match, came in quickly for Shimura, 10 for 15, plus an ace. Like he is the perfect L2 counter. And he probably doesn't have a chance at the World Championship roster. They have such a ridiculous depth of talent in that.
But no, he will now because you have Semeniuk and Slivka, and Leon probably won't be back, so you're going to need 4 outsides.
Yeah.
So
it's probably between like a Kvolek or a Bednors, perhaps.
Oh, I always forget about Bednors. It's the 2 Bs, Bednors and Bieniak, that I always forget about. But I do think that Kvolek, especially the way that Shimura played at times this week. And I think Shimura rates in higher than Lipinski, even though I would almost put Lipinski higher than Shimura just because of how dependable he is. I do think that Kvolek has solidified himself as that OH4.
Yeah, I like his game.
Me too.
So, France, just kind of a disappointing finish. It just didn't quite have it after that first set where Antoine Brizard went on one of the great serving runs I really have ever seen. He was amazing. 5 points in a row. I think there were 3 aces in there, and there was one to position 1 sideline, one to position 5 sideline, one right in the seam, one just like overloaded and shanked off the passer. Like he did it in every little way. Then after that, it all just kind of went away. And Ngapet not good. Chinanyeze went to the bench in the 3rd or 4th with third minor injury. Don't know the details.
It was his fingers.
Okay.
So it was a block. I actually have the video of it on my phone. And immediately he ran over to the side, and they were spraying him and stuff like that. And he seemed to be fine right afterwards. Like he was just shaking it a little bit, but it looks like it's just a jam finger.
I want to put something out there about France before we move on. So they were the team of the teams here in Ottawa. They brought the closest thing to their top roster.
Yes.
And they went 3-0, and it was all looking great. There, however, is a reason why some of the other guys on other teams are getting rest. There is a risk associated with bringing all of your guys because they lose Kevin Tilley, and I don't expect whatever happened to Chinanyeze to be serious, but like that's a factor. They brought their guys, and it almost paid off with a perfect week. Not quite, and now they lose a key player in Tilley for a long time. Like there's risk associated with that. There's a reason why you're giving some guys rest. It's extremely bad luck for France.
Yep.
You never obviously plan on anyone getting injured. It's bad luck, and that strategy ends up, just having a little bit of a sting at the end of this week compared to how it was before this match today.
Yeah, absolutely. And they are going to be bringing Klevno and Toniuti, and who's the other person that they mentioned?
Grubenikov.
No, he didn't mention Grubenikov for next week.
Oh, okay.
Le Goff. Yeah, they're bringing Toniuti, Klevno, and Le Goff to the Philippines in 2 weeks. So definitely going to be an upgrade there for that French squad bringing in Toniuti, who's going to provide a little bit of relief for Antoine Brizard.
Yeah, he had to play.
Who won't have to play. I wonder almost if they're going to keep the backup guy and not send Brizard whatsoever. I think that maybe that's the play.
That it might be. It's actually not a bad idea.
Right? Like let's send Toniuti, give Brizard a week off, and then Klevno's going to have to come in much harder. And I think it really just upgrades Luati's spot on the team without Kevin Tilley.
Agreed. So last match that was here was the one in the middle, Argentina versus Italy. Italy wins it 3-1. They go 3-1 on the week. And so something that we are really just still figuring out is that even though Italy's hosting the finals, so they get an automatic berth in the finals, that doesn't mean that the preliminary round is useless to them. If they finish in the top 8 of the 16 teams, they get the number 1 seed in the playoffs.
Oh.
All they have to do is finish top half, and they get the 1 seed. But if they finished in the bottom half, they get the 8 seed.
Ah, okay.
Huge difference. So Italy has to put something into some of these weeks so that first matchup in Bologna isn't a brutal one for them.
I mean,
and this worked against Argentina. I mean, it wasn't the cleanest game.
no, but I mean that's I think that's what to expected given everything going on around Italy. So I mean, they all rolled up to the gym. Every player, every staff member was wearing masks. There was no Fernandinho, Giorgi on the bench. It's confirmed he has gotten COVID. He has tested positive for COVID, so he now has to spend the next 10 days in his hotel room here in Ottawa.
That is so brutal.
Like, are we not past this like
So
COVID
brutal.
protocol? Like, you know.
So yeah, that's an extremely tough break. I'm curious to see how that affects Italy, but
Yeah.
I mean, they went 3-1 in the week. This is a good week for them, despite whatever is going on with their head coach. Argentina just inconsistent.
Yeah.
Not consistent enough. Agustin Loser is the man. But elsewhere on that team, just not quite consistent enough. And I am seriously concerned about Matias Sanchez blocking. It's a massive. I mean, we knew it. He's 1.73 m. It's such a huge liability. Other teams know it.
Yeah.
But Italy was setting straight over the top of him every single rotation.
And Italy's got like Bottolo and Rucina are not that massive guys. You know, they're undersized.
Rucina is little. Botolo is. I think we say too much that Botolo is little. He's not. He's about 6'6". So,
yeah, but I mean,
but
he's not overly huge.
No, and he was really good tonight.
Yeah.
19 points, led the match in scoring.
He's bounced back really nicely
Yeah,
after his first match that was terrible. He was 3 for 19. He's bounced back nicely.
4 aces.
Yeah. I think one thing too is when we're starting to look at Argentina is they're really missing Facundo Conte right now.
It's a revolving door at outside hitter. We saw all 4 of them tonight.
Yeah, they have no consistency and no quality on the outside right now. Would love to see someone like Palacios or Polonsky step up. Both of them are pretty experienced and have been there before.
Polonsky's only like 22, but he has been there before. I was
Yeah.
surprised. Palacios is the guy I want more out of.
Absolutely.
He's way too conservative and doesn't produce nearly enough points for how many he kind of gives away for free.
Mhm.
Not in the form of errors, but he's just not nearly aggressive enough. And then, Sanchez is a blocker. They just can't have that.
No. And the real reality for Argentina is that I don't think they're that deep. You know, what happens when you have to sit Bruno Lima? You know,
that is a death blow for them. They have one opposite and one opposite only. That is it. If you don't have Lima, you are dead.
Yeah, exactly. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how Argentina fares throughout, the entirety of this. I still think they're a quality team, but they're definitely struggling a little bit right now.
So just to wrap up things here in Ottawa, of the teams that were here, France, in just very narrow tiebreakers, narrowly ahead of both Poland and Italy in the standings. All 3-1 with 9 points. Behind them, Germany also 3-1, but with 7 points because they have 2 5-set wins. Serbia in 9th in VNL, 2-2 with 6 points. Argentina 1-3 with 4 points. And then Canada got those 2 points today. Bulgaria also has 2 points because 2 5-set losses, but they're 0-4, so they're the tiebreaker there. Pleasant surprise team of this weekend and disappointing team of this weekend for you, Everett.
Present surprise team has to be Serbia.
Totally.
The way that Serbia came in and the way they played, I know they finished 2-2, but they even their coach said he was stoked about that. I got to see some fantastic young players for Serbia. Peric, Kujundžić. I wanted to say Legumzija, but that's obviously not it. Kujundžić, and of course everyone's new favorite player, Meljanats. So I think they're fantastic.
Disappointments, Canada and Bulgaria.
No, I think for me it has to be Canada. Yeah. Despite how it finished, I still can't say that I'm not a little bit disappointed about only getting 1 win. I understand the process.
Oh yeah,
trust me. But I'm a competitive person and I want to win every single game.
And so does Benjo, and so does Steve Marr,
and that was one thing. I after the game before we did the interview, I made a point to go over to Benjo and give him a nice hug, just to congratulations. And we were walking together. And I go, I don't think I've ever seen you lose 3 matches in a row. And I wanted to bring it up to him last night, but it was just it was such a desperate situation. But no, I've legitimately never seen him lose 3 matches in a row. So it was great to just finally get that monkey off the back. But let's be honest, it was disappointing. We were both very high on this Canadian team based off what we saw on Saturday night against France.
Really was.
And I do think maybe we got a little bit catfished into that, where France wasn't necessarily giving their best performance, and made us think we were a little bit better than we were. And things were going well because they weren't necessarily putting any pressure on us. But at the same time, I don't feel despair because like I know that this team is going somewhere and I know it's moving towards something.
Yep.
You know, it doesn't feel like maybe sometimes in the past where it's just like, oh shit, like we're not doing well right now and I don't know where we can go from this. It's we're going somewhere and just the start. And I mean, full credit to Benjo too. Speaking to him tonight, like he fully admitted that, you know, maybe they had put a little bit too much on the plate. Maybe they're asking a little bit too much from the players. Maybe they were overcoaching, as you had suggested the other night, a little bit. And they managed to find that middle ground. So overall, I'm very happy and excited for what's to come for Canadian volleyball, but still a little bit disappointed with the 1-3 record.
Yep. So let's talk about what happened down in Brazil a little bit before we wrap it up for the week. We've talked about it. We talked about it last night. The pleasant surprise of the week by far.
Still,
let's hear it.
The fact that you've only lost 3 sets is just disgusting. It pisses me off.
USA.
You've conceded the least amount of points in the tournament.
4-0 with an almost perfect 11 points. USA.
No, you're not.
USA.
It's not happening. It's not happening.
Crazy pleasant surprise, the USA, but they didn't play today, so we don't need to talk about them anymore. Japan, pleasant surprise, 3-1. Only that one 5-set loss to the USA.
I wouldn't say that's a pleasant surprise. I think that's par for the course for them.
They had an easy schedule this week,
and they always start strong.
Yeah,
they always start strong.
Yeah, they didn't have to play Brazil, but maybe they wish they had played Brazil because
I think everyone's wishing they had played Brazil right now.
What on earth is going on with Brazil losing at home in 3 sets to China? What is happening there? I'm pulling up the stats.
Honestly, I don't know because we didn't get to watch it. That's going to be
we have not watched this game, by the way. Any of the games in Brazil, it's been extremely difficult for us to catch up on them because we're here. We haven't watched the games yet, okay? So we don't feel the eye test. We're just looking at a score sheet.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be tomorrow. I'm going to drive back to Ottawa, and I'm going to watch this game when I get home because
China had 9 stuff blocks.
That's big. That's big.
4 aces to only 11 errors. Brazil, 4 aces, 13 errors, only 6 blocks. Offensive numbers look pretty close. And Brazil made 25 total errors. China only made 18. What is happening there?
The fact that it's 3-0-2 is just like
all close sets. 25-23, 31-29.
But like you have Flavio out there, you have
25-23
Lucas,
again.
you have Alan Souza, you know, like
Rodriguinho's good. He
like
is Sada Cruzeiro. You have Bruno. Like,
Bruno is on the court.
Like
if they were running like a B squad or you know like an A2 squad.
And I don't know who Jingyan Zhang is, but 22 for 40 with only 5 errors plus a block and 2 aces for 25 points in 3 sets.
That's monstrous.
3 sets. I don't know who this kid is. He's 22. He's 2 meters and 7.
Dan, you let us know, okay?
Yeah, we need Dan on this one.
We need Dan on this one for sure.
76 points for the week for China. Maybe they have something there.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Dan did ask me kind of in our preview show what was coming up in the China pipeline, which I thought was a weird question to ask me because he's...
that's a Dan question.
I feel like Dan sometimes asks me the questions that he wants to be asked. You know, but yeah, hey, if like it doesn't make me happy to see China win, especially 3-0.
Yeah, that's bad for Canada.
It is bad for Canada.
But I also really like laughing at Brazil. This is hilarious.
That is awesome, and the fact that they like lost their world #1 ranking because of a 3-0 loss to China is comical.
They're just not. Apparently, they're not what they once were.
Yeah. So I guess we'll have to see. Like, if we saw the fall of Brazilian volleyball this year, that would be the biggest story in volleyball.
Totally would.
That would be
the Netherlands got 2 wins. They beat Australia today.
Okay.
They also beat Iran in 3 the other day. So Netherlands actually 2-2. They're in 7th right now.
All right, not bad.
They
I feel like
2
we're
cupcake matches that they had to win though, and like Slovenia 2-2. They've been disappointing. Iran 2-2. I don't know anything about any of their games. They're kind of irrelevant. I think the worst team in Volleyball Nations League is Australia. And I don't think it's particularly close.
Yeah, it kind of hurts me. Dave Preston, you know, we'll have to see how it goes, but I just don't see things going to be going well for them. I just don't know if they have anyone on the roster that's going to be able to hack it. You know, like even like if I look at, you know, like Canada, you still have guys playing in the Italian league, right? You look at Bulgaria with all of the talent they have. You know,
the talent is
even Netherlands. You know, you still have Namir. Like every one of those bubble teams has some sort of talent, but I just don't see it right now. Like, what do we got? Like Lincoln Alexander, Thomas Edgar, like who's like come back. So yeah,
Don't ask me. I have no idea.
it's to be honest, I still feel like it's too early to tell anything.
It is.
We're a week in,
It is.
and also let's remember that we've watched very little of any of that other pool.
Right.
So the next week, once we can actually sit down and watch some games, we're going to have a better idea of what's going on.
Yep, totally. This has been an unreal week. Being here in person in the mix, I mean, I'm exhausted. So
Yeah.
are you. But it's been so worthwhile, and we've gotten so much. We've learned so much. We've talked to so many players and coaches, and we've pumped out a lot of content, and it seems like people have really loved it. So this has been a big week for Everett and I both. It's been really cool to be here. It's great to be back at international events in person. And
Great to meet my boy.
hell yeah. I think that might be a wrap.
I think it is a wrap. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in to the Volleyball Source coverage of the 2022 Ottawa Volleyball Nations League here in Canada. Rob, thank you for coming down.
It is my
Not that
absolute pleasure.
You know, you were coming down anyways,
Oh, yeah.
regardless.
And we will be back to our normally scheduled Tuesday evening shows.
I think we're going to take off this Tuesday.
I'd be totally fine with that.
Let's take off this Tuesday.
That sounds great.
We won't have a show this Tuesday. We're gonna rest up. I'm gonna take my girlfriend out on a nice dinner.
I'll do the same. They
yeah,
deserve it.
with your fiance though.
Yes.
She's the upgraded version of it. And yeah, make sure if you maybe Dan and I will tune in at some point with one of a 5-1 VB. But yeah, Women's Nation Leagues gets kicked off once again Tuesday. Canadian women are in Philippines. American women are in
Also
Philippines.
in Philippines. Yeah.
Okay, let's all watch together. Let's all be friends. Come join the Discord and we'll hang out.
Yep. Thanks for following along, people. Been a huge week. We're gonna go drink with the players.
Clap. Finish it up. Oh,
Peace.
it would have been better if we timed that.